It's come up yet. Yes, I have the notification. Good morning to the virtual hearing of the licensing subcommittee. Virtual hearing Monday, 28th of April for Cost Cutters trading as Best Foods. That's 512 to 560 Lady Margaret Road, Southall, UB1 2NP. Welcome to today's hearing. My name's Anthony Kelly, Councillor Anthony Kelly. I'll be chairing the meeting. I'm joined with my colleagues, Councillor Tim Nagpal and Councillor Jonathan Ball. We are today's subcommittee. We're assisted by Makisha Grant, who is clerk to the subcommittee, who will be minuting the meeting, and Hatun Zeb, who is legal advisor to the subcommittee. You will have all received or seen the agenda pack within, which has contained the licensing officer's report with details of the application in section 1. To confirm, we are dealing with the review application of Cost Cutter Best Foods. We note there has also been a response from the applicant's agents to the application. In accordance with procedure, I'll invite the applicant to present the application, answer any question and call upon any witnesses, and invite those who have made representations to make them, answer any questions and call upon any witnesses. At the conclusion of the hearing, the subcommittee, accompanied by the legal advisor and committee services officer, will retire to consider its decision. The decision will be given at the end of the virtual meeting and confirmed within 5 days. If we're unable to make a decision, you will also be notified as such within 5 working days. So, Mr. Deere, would you like to present the application, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. This is indeed an application to review an off licence named Cost Cutter trading as Best Food, 512 to 516 Lady Margaret Road, UB1 2NP. The premises licence holder and designated premises supervisor are the same since 2010, and it's Mrs. Gonalingam. This review was triggered by a test purchase at the premises on Tuesday, the 29th of October 2024. A young male who had been briefed by myself and another officer, he was 15 and a half at the time, entered the premises, went to the counter in company with a chaperone, and asked for a vape. This was handed over, an exchange of money was made, but the shop assistant did not ask for any ID or proof of age. They returned to myself, related the facts, and as a result of that conversation, the vape was placed in an evidence bag, and I returned to the shop and introduced myself to the female behind the counter, who gave her name as Karita Devi. The offence was pointed out at 16:45. She was cautioned. She replied yes. An inspection form was completed at the premises. No Part B was on display, and speaking to the worker, in my opinion, it was clear that she had received no formal training or no licensing training. A copy of the inspection form was left at the premises, and a female who stated she was the manager, who I have seen at the shop previously, signed the receipt for it. This exhibit RD1. There was a previous visit when the premises received a first and final warning in August 2020. On that visit, 860 non-duty paid cigarettes and 17 bottles of vodka were found. The vodka was on the shelves and behind the counter. No invoice could be produced, and they were all non-duty paid. So I say, sir, that this premises is failing to prevent the prevention of crime and disorder and the protection of children from harm objectives. The purpose of a test purchase operation is to test the compliance within the borough with regards to not selling a nicotine inhaling product or alcohol to anyone under the age of 18. As part of this operation, Ealing Trading Standards asked the 15-year-old volunteer to visit shops in the borough under supervision, attempt to purchase a vape on this occasion, with the hope that they would be challenged by shop staff and regarding their age, and the sale be refused. The volunteer was clearly under the age of 18, was not asked for any ID, and the staff member was not suitably trained. And due to these above incidents and the obvious disregard for the law, I would ask that the ultimate sanction open to the committee be exercised and the premises licence be revoked. I have no witnesses, sir, and all the other evidence is in the pack that you've hopefully read.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Grant, do you, and I'm going to refer to the people with you as your team, have any questions for Mr. Deer as to the veracity nature of his submission?
I certainly don't dispute Mr. Deer's veracity, just a clarification matter that in Mr. Deer's own witness statement within the papers, page 18 of the agenda papers, he confirms that he spoke to this saleswoman, Karita Devi. She was asked whether she'd received any licensing training, and in fact her response recorded by Mr. Deer was that she stated that she was not allowed to sell to drunk people or people underage. So it'd be right to say she'd received some training, albeit it's accepted, it wasn't enough.
So Bob, let me repack the question. Did you asked whether she received any training? To what did she reply to that particular question? No, yes or no?
Yes, sir, Mr. Grant, that is correct. She did reply that. I took it that was not really training.
Yeah. So just one minute. So she said she had never received formal training, but she was able to give you an item of a response that meant she knew something.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, very brief. Yes.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Grant?
That's the only point. Thank you.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you. Councillors, Councillor Ball, do you have any questions to Mr. Deer?
No, thanks, Chair.
Councillor Nagpal? There's a bit of a freeze from Councillor Nagpal's. No. Okay. Well, just quickly, 17 bottles of vodka. So were they bottles or litre bottles, so to speak, if you can remember? And what brand were they, if you can remember?
They were Polish vodka, sir. Litres and 70 CLs. So I couldn't tell you what breakdown it was at this moment.
Sure. Okay. So it was Polish brands, and yeah. And so specifically, how do you know that they're non-duty paid? Because it says that because it doesn't have it on the bottle. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was. I say back in the day, sir, when it was made easier for us, but there was no sticker on there at all.
There was no sticker on there at all. Okay, fine. Thank you. Okay. So, Mr. Grant, I've got nobody else. Have you got? Would you like to make your submission, sir?
Thank you, Councillor. Can I begin by recognising the seriousness of the allegations against my client? She recognises that, and her first submission is to apologise that she's got herself into this mess. She recognises it's her fault, and she recognises it falls on her to persuade you that she can do better in the future. And that is precisely what I'm going to put before you. So we make no criticism whatsoever of Mr. Deer and his team in launching this review. They were right to do so on the facts. The only area where Mr. Deer and I depart from each other is this. What is the appropriate and proportionate outcome, bearing in mind the accepted facts? Now, Mr. Deer says expressly that the only option is the ultimate sanction, as he calls it, of revocation. We say that the cure for a headache is not always the beheading, that there is an alternative, more appropriate and proportionate course for this council to take that will recognise the seriousness of the misbehaviour, but also focus on what licensing should focus on. How can we best minimise it happening in the future proportionately? And that's really going to be the focus. But to give a bit of history of this case, because it's relevant, my client, Mrs. Connor-Lingham, together with her husband, took over this premises in 2010. So they've been operating for some 15 years. This is their first review. So this is not a case where they've been hauled before a subcommittee before, have pleaded for mercy and then gone back and done it again. That's not the situation we're in. It's the first review they have faced. The sale on this occasion, on the 29th of October, the test purchase sale, was made by a new member of staff, Miss Karita Devi. She was a lady over from India. She was still in her training period at this time, and she did receive some training. It was oral, it wasn't written down, and we accept it was not of the Rolls-Royce variety. And she made a serious mistake. She made a serious mistake in not asking for acceptable identification of the young-looking individual. She's provided a statement that's in your pack. She believed the individual was 18. She is, and I've spoken to her, she's mortified at the trouble she has got her employers into by this sale. She has subsequently been trained, as have all the other staff, and I'll come to the details of that training in a moment. But this was not a sale by the license holder or the DPS. It was a sale by a very junior member of staff who made a serious mistake. But ultimately, my client accepts that she is responsible for the failures of her staff, and she doesn't back away from that responsibility. When you come to determine whether Mr. Deer's request that only the ultimate sanction in this case is appropriate, please consider this, that the test purchase that triggered this review came at the end of October 2024. The review itself was not applied for by Mr. Deer until the end of February of this year, a period of 4 months. Now, that may not strike you as the response to the most serious of breaches, to wait 4 months in order to lodge a review. But perhaps more importantly is this, that the last problem evidenced in this case is on the 29th of October 2024, a day short of 6 months ago. So this premises has operated since the test purchase failure for 6 months without any issues. And that's not a matter of chance. There's been a great deal of work put into this case in order to improve the systems ever since they discovered the test purchase failure. So after October and now. And the proof of the pudding is in the eating. Because what we know is that, and we deliberately left it as late as possible, we know that when a established test purchase professional company went in last Thursday, the 24th of April, in an attempt to buy a vape, that young individual was successfully challenged for ID and was not sold a vape. And you have the document from Serve Legal. It's the one that was served late in the day, for which I apologise. So we know no trouble for 6 months, no issues. And when put to the test, this premises passed. And that, you may think, is the best evidence and best predictor of future behaviour if you are minded to give them a chance to prove they can continue in this successful vein. Now, there's a curiosity about this case, and it often crops up, and I make no criticism of it, is that what the licensing authority are asking you to do is to revoke a license that permits the sale of alcohol. And the triggering incident, of course, had nothing to do with alcohol. It had to do with vapes, nicotine vapes, which in itself is not at the moment a licensable activity. It will be in the not too distant future because the Tobacco and Vapes Bill is going through Parliament at the moment. So you're effectively being asked to revoke an alcohol license to stop them selling alcohol. And that action in itself will do nothing to stop them selling nicotine, tobacco, or vapes. So there is not a direct connection between the application to revoke the alcohol license and the selling of the vapes in the first place. That said, the reality of this, and it is reality for most convenience stores, is that alcohol sales make up some 25% of the revenue. If their alcohol license is revoked, they will try and struggle on, but they will be limping, and it is nearly inevitable that they would have to close, because if you lose 25% of your revenue in today's economic climate, that is the difference between a viable and an unviable business. And of course, the result of that, when you come to look at the proportionality of your decision, the result will be twofold. Firstly, a very popular, useful convenience store, it's a mini supermarket that serves the community of Southall, will be lost to that community. And secondly, the jobs and indeed that are employed at this store will go, and indeed my client will lose her livelihood. Now that's not your primary concern, but when you come to consider the proportionality of your decision, it's a factor to take into account. Of course, if it's your view that the only way we can prevent further problems is revocation, you will do so regardless of the consequences. But we do ask you to bear in mind the real life consequences when considering what steps are appropriate and proportionate. The sale of the vape itself to the test purchase was a one-off serious misjudgment by a junior staff member. But there are other issues that are evidenced in this paper. And the first are the 91 non-compliant vapes. Well, what's happening? Where are they getting these vapes from? Well, the answer is set out in my client's witness statement that you would have read. They buy these vapes from a wholesaler based in Charles House. Now, when my clients took over the premises in 2010, the reason they went to the Charles House wholesaler is because many of the shops on this same high street used Charles House. So my clients, perhaps naively, thought that this was automatically legitimate. So when they buy the vapes from the wholesaler, they believed they could trust the due diligence of the wholesaler, who assured them they were compliant. But simply, they were wrong and naive to have trusted that wholesaler, because it seems they were supplying not only my client, but others with non-compliant vapes, and those were the vapes that were found at the store. A similar issue arose with the vodka back in 2020. Essentially, they were looking for cheap wholesalers, and it may come to no surprise for us now, as perhaps more seasoned licensing practitioners, that if you're going to go for the cheaper wholesaler, there is a risk that they are not legitimate. And my clients recognise that, and they have made changes. Since the 29th of October, they have not got anywhere near Charles's House wholesaler, and now all of their purchases are from bona fide, legitimate wholesalers, such as Costco and indeed Best Foods, who are the sponsor of this particular store. I have, and we've saved you from serving them, I have a file of receipts here, which I flicked through. They all date from the 29th of October, the failed test purchase. They confirm what my client says in her statement, that they are only buying from wholly legitimate wholesalers, and they keep all their receipts to prove it if they are ever questioned. There is a slight oddity here, and that is that a Tesco bottle of Prosecco and an M&S champagne bottle were found behind the counter. There's a very simple explanation. They were presents from customers from the community for Diwali, which took place at around this time. That's it, 2 bottles as gifts that were kept under counter. Now, there's some gossip here about, well, have there been other instances of this sort of behaviour? Well, you will not, I know, be basing your decision on unsubstantiated gossip, but only on the evidence before you. So, what are the action steps that my client has taken in this case? Well, as I say, they are only buying now from well-established wholesalers who are above approach. They have now provided formal training to all of their staff on the licensing objectives, on underage sales, and indeed the purchasing of goods such as vapes. And you will see that Mr. Andrews, who sits to my right over here, a very experienced licensing expert, served as an inspector in the Hertfordshire Police, and in more recent years served for a number of Hertfordshire-based councils as a licensing enforcement officer. He is a man who knows that of which he speaks. He has gone in, he has read the Riot Act, and he has trained up everyone who is customer facing in this store. And you'll find the report from Mr. Andrews within the evidence, the license holder's evidence pack. And it's a warts and all approach. So, well, things are not perfect. He said so in his report and has said this needs to be tidied up. But he concludes, and it's not an opinion he gives lightly at the end of his statement, that he's confident that if the license holder carries on in their current vein, there is every reason to be confident they will not be before you again. And as I say, the Serve Legal test purchase at the end of last week is evidence that they really have turned the tide of non-compliance in this case. They have also installed a till prompt so that whenever there is a age-related sale of a product and it goes into the till, the salesperson is immediately prompted, have you checked for ID? So the sort of failure of the junior member of staff will not happen again, because that member of staff will physically have to confirm that he or she has checked ID on the relevant product. There is a new audit system that's being put in. On a daily basis, a manager or the DPS needs to run through a checklist, and we've included the checklist within your papers, the license holders bundle, and needs to be signed off by the manager to ensure that everything is entirely compliant at the beginning of each day. And those checklists and audits will be kept, the records, and will be made available for inspection through any officers. And in addition, my client, if they haven't already, will very shortly be joining the Association of Convenience Stores, not least because they can access the Assured Advice Service. So if there's any doubt about the legitimacy of any wholesaler or any product, they now have a professional organisation to double check, and they intend to. So what are our concrete proposals in this case? Well, the first is a modest but perhaps important one, and that's to amend the current condition 21 on the licence, which at the moment proposes challenge 21 age verification. Industry standard now is challenge 25, and we would invite to change challenge 21 to challenge 25. Secondly, we would invite you to add a condition to the licence that an age verification till prompt must be installed on the cash registers and activated at the point of sale prior to a sale being completed. Now, the wording of that to assist your legal advisor is within the statement of my client in the pack. And thirdly, all tobacco and vape products must be bought from a recognised bona fide wholesaler with receipts retained for inspection on request by an authorised officer of the council or police. So I'll read that out again. All tobacco and vape products must be bought from a recognised bona fide wholesaler with the receipts retained for inspection on request by an authorised officer of the council or police. Now, in recognition that this is serious, and indeed the selling of vapes, recent government study, in fact, it was in the impact assessment for the new tobacco and vapes bill, suggests that according to the trading standards organisations nationally, some 26% of test purchase exercises resulted in a failure. So my client is not alone in the errors of which they are being hauled before you. That's not an excuse, but it does suggest the issue is wider than just my client. But what my client is doing differently is taking really concrete steps to make sure they do not fall within that 26% ever again. Now, we recognise that this is a national problem of vapes selling to underage people, whether by mistake or whether deliberately. We say this was a mistake. And if you feel that for a deterrent effect, there needs to be some sort of sanction, could we ask you please to consider a suspension of the alcohol licence of somewhere between 14 days and 28 days? And together with the other conditions, together with the demonstrable improvement in their systems, a short suspension of their alcohol licence will, you may think, drive home both to my client, but perhaps also to others within the London Borough of Ealing, that it's not acceptable and it will meet with some sort of sanction. So together with conditions and a short suspension, we say that that would meet the sweet spot of being both an appropriate and a proportionate outcome of this hearing. Councillor, those are our submissions, and of course we're here to assist you with any questions.
Thank you. Mr. Dare, do you have any questions to Mr. Grant? Or,
I'll do, sir.
Yeah.
Just firstly, how old was the volunteer that was used last Thursday?
Well, they're always 18 or 19 because Serve Legal are not allowed to use under 18s. They're young looking, so old enough, young enough to have to age ID them.
So in theory, they didn't really pass, or they couldn't have failed that test, could they?
Well, they could, because they have Challenge 21 on their licence, and we're suggesting Challenge 25. So it would have been a breach that the person would have been under 21. It would have been a breach of their licence condition not to have challenged them. So yes, they could have failed.
Okay. Just to check with Mr. Andrews, perhaps he could just confirm for me that in 2.2 of your statement, Mr. Andrews, was the husband trained?
So can we just confirm who the husband is, Bob? Who are we referring to?
Oh, sorry, Mrs. Connellingham's husband, yes.
Yeah.
Actually, he was not available on the day. However, sufficient documents were left for him to read and, if necessary, sign when he's completed reading them, especially the relation to the purchase of vapes products.
Can I, sorry, Bob, if you don't mind, Mrs. Cunningham, can you hear me, ma'am?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Thank you. Fine. So sorry, Bob's referring to your husband. Maybe you just want to introduce yourself, and obviously through Mr. Grant, he can pose the question. Can you just confirm, you know, you say your husband, he's just been there, but in a sense, we've got to treat him separately. Just who is this person that Mr. Deere is referring to, and how often does he work at the shop or not work at the shop? What's his relationship to the shop?
Right, he's doing the cash and carry and everything for me.
Okay, so
Yeah.
he's the buyer, so he buys the product, so to
Yeah,
speak.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And does he work in the shop
Yeah,
alongside
sometimes,
you? or-
yeah, sometimes
Yeah.
he's working on the till as well, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Sorry, Bob, I just wanted to build a picture of the way the shop is run, and I just thought it was a good chance to expand there. Carry on, sir.
Thank you, Chair. There's no problems at all. In fact, the husband was present during the visit, August 2020.
This is Mr. Cunningham, Bob, yes?
Yes, sorry, Mrs. Connellingham, your husband was.
Yeah, if you don't mind, thank you.
Sorry, Mr. Connellingham, your husband was actually present during that visit in August 2020. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because and did he do the buying at that time?
Say that again, sorry?
Was he still did he do the cash and carry runs at that time, and he still does?
Yeah.
And so he purchased the non-duty paid cigarettes, and obviously I only found 860, so I don't know how many he purchased, and 17 bottles of vodka that I found as well. So he purchased them from Charles House, basically.
Yes, he did.
Okay. But obviously 5 years later, or 4 years later, apologies, you're still buying products from Charles House, which you know are illegal.
What should I say? Yeah, because other retailers goes and buy from there, that's why.
Right. So I can't remember the expression, perhaps someone can help me, but you just follow the crowd, do you? So if somebody sticks their head in the oven, you stick your head in the oven.
No, we won't do that again because I don't know that how serious it is.
One moment, Mr. Cunningham. You don't. Mr. Deere's perfectly entitled to put words into your mouth that you can either defend or not say. But yeah, yes, I don't think we require you to answer them. Yeah.
Sorry, Jim, I don't mean obviously Mrs. Connellingham to go and do it. What I'm saying is, if I found out I was buying illegal products, would I go back to that wholesaler? 4 years, well, over the last 4 years, you must have gone there. Or your husband,
look,
sorry.
Miss Cunningham, why did your husband continue to buy stuff from Charles House? I think that's the most direct question.
Because we thought that is legal because we also cash and carry. We are running the cash and carry. We thought that is the legal thing they are selling. That's what we bought from them.
So
we don't know that is the illegal thing.
When, if at all, did you point out that stuff from the said wholesaler in Bridge Road was sort of perhaps not legitimate? You know, was that pointed out to the shopkeeper at any stage? At any stage? No. So it's more of a question for Bob, really, because
I'm sorry, sir.
Yeah, so I know a bit of V, but Bob, did you? Is it in your sort of remit? Do you tell people perhaps not to buy from Charles House?
White van.
Oh, councillor, it may be. I think I've misspoken, and let me clarify this.
Yeah.
Okay.
The 2020 items were not bought from Charles House. They were bought, dare I say, not much better, from a white van.
Yeah.
It was the 2024 items were bought from Charles House.
So let me ask So when, sorry, but when did you stop buying from Charles House, Mrs. Cunningham, and your husband? When have you stopped going to Charles House?
Yeah, we don't go after end of October.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't buy anything from them now.
Okay, thank you. Bob?
So, yes, Charles House, as probably everybody on this video call appreciates, is totally, well, there are some legal premises down there, but it's well known all over the country. People come from hundreds of miles away to purchase stuff from there. Our trading standards team, which obviously is a capacity of 1.5 at the moment, does go down there, but unfortunately when we turn up down there, every premises closes for obvious reasons. But while I've got Mrs. Cunningham, if that's okay, I'll just very quickly go over one part of her statement. Due to the test purchase, you were interviewed by on tape, wasn't you? Well, CD actually nowadays. You were interviewed at our offices here by Trading Standards.
Is it? Sorry.
Because you were interviewed?
Yes, yeah, I do. Yeah.
And would you like to tell the committee what you said? And it refers to page 30 and 31 of your taped interview.
I'm sorry, is this document within the agenda pack?
Yes, it is there, yeah. And
Can you point out where it is, please?
Well, I haven't got the agenda in front of me, but Mr. Simons has had a copy of that taped interview. He requested
it's not a document. Forgive me. It's not a document that I've received in the agenda pack. It's not in the agenda pack.
Okay. Okay. Because I wasn't relying on it. Mr. Joshua Simons requested it because he wanted to know, and I'll bring it up now. He wanted to know a photo of the young youth that we used.
Yes, there are. Your legal advisor will advise you about the introduction of new evidence at a hearing.
Yep.
It's not permissible and it's not fair.
Okay, I'll question no way, and this is permissible. Mrs. Cunningham, have you viewed the CCTV from October 2024, the test purchase?
Yes, I did.
Would you have sold a vape to that person who came in and bought it and was sold?
No, if I see him, then I won't give the vape to him because yeah, I got so much experience. Then I won't give it to him.
Sorry,
Why?
did they look? Yeah, sorry, yeah, go on.
Why wouldn't you have sold it to him?
Yes, yeah, I got more experience. I got shop nearly 15 years now. Then I can recognize the people. How old is he? Then yeah, I can recognize the people.
Okay. Did he
So it
look?
would be fair to say that they didn't look old enough. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
And that's what. Yeah. Thank you.
Right. So you agree, in your opinion, your 15 years experience, that volunteer we sent in did not look old enough?
In
Over
my
18 years of
opinion,
age.
but he looks younger to me. Yeah, in my opinion.
Okay. Okay. I just want to ask a quick question on the Prosecco and the champagne.
Yeah.
When were they given to you?
I think Diwali time. Like I don't know exactly which date it is, but like when the officer came, like previous week, I think, yeah.
In October?
Yeah.
Okay.
In October.
The reason they were taken was twofold.
Yeah.
Because one, no receipt could be produced, and we weren't told the story of the woman coming in and giving you 2 bottles of alcohol. However, why were they on the floor behind the counter, on the floor with the other alcohol, and why were they all in the same condition as all the other bottles, i.e. dust everywhere?
No, because we normally sweep the floor, that the carpet thing. Then when we sweeping, that's the dust goes everywhere. But I'm sure I forgot to take the bottles. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
I've no
one-
other questions
I
at
think
this
we-
stage, Chair.
Mr. Deer's point is why would a recently donated gift on a religious festival that my understanding doesn't sort of celebrate with alcohol, but obviously it's for each person to decide how one celebrates religious activities. But you know, why would that gift be dusty and on the floor? Why, you know, I mean, I'm very privileged to receive gifts from people from time to time, and I always secure it and, you know, make sure it's in my possession and not wherever I might be. And it certainly wouldn't have dust on it. So we're trying to account for that erroneous thing. Whose gift was it? Who said it was a Diwali gift? Who told who it was a Diwali gift?
Who were they given to?
Customer
To you?
to my husband.
Right, they were
Yeah.
given by a customer to her husband.
Yeah.
But Councillor, this is a bit of a red herring. There's no evidence there was anything wrong with the Tesco Prosecco and M&S champagne. There's no evidence, for example, they were non-duty. There's nothing wrong with those two bottles. Nothing illegitimate about them.
Okay, well, Mr. Deer can.
Yeah, Chair, I'll come back there, please.
Yeah.
2 bottles, one Tesco and one M&S. We have a lot of stolen property across the borough with those 2 shops. My suspicion was they were stolen property or possibly stolen property. And why were they behind a counter covered in dust and no explanation given?
Well, firstly, there's no evidence from Mr. Deer before what he just said that there's any suspicions about these bottles being stolen goods. Secondly, there's no evidence they were stolen goods. So he really shouldn't be making allegations on the basis of suspicion rather than actual evidence.
Chair, I would concur with Mr. Grant's submission in regards to this. Mr. Deer needs to be very clear that his evidence should be based on the review application and the evidence that he's attached to that application before the committee today, and not any suspicions that he may have.
Okay, well, we can take that. We'll take all of that into consideration, Mr. Deer, Mr. Grant. Thank you, Hattie.
All I'd come back at this, sir, is that those 2 items were put on the trading standards paperwork that was left at the premises. So I'll leave it there.
They didn't ask for them to be returned, I take it?
No, they've never
Okay.
come and give us any explanation apart from today.
Okay, thank you. Why might have they been requisitioned back, Mr. Grant?
There will be a request for them to be returned.
Okay, but you haven't requested them to be returned as of yet? No.
Not as of yet. There are perhaps slightly bigger fish to fry in this case.
Well.
They're trying to save their livelihood, and the fact that 2
No, I
bottles
know.
that were
Yeah,
gifted
yes, I
to
know.
them is not particularly relevant.
It can be done 2 ways, you know, like, you know, I would certainly requestion back stuff that I legitimately owned, but I've said they've chosen not to because obviously they've got priorities. Okay. What, Mr. Deer?
I've no other questions, Chair.
Okay. Sure. Mr. Councillor Ball, do you have any questions for Mr. Grant and Mrs. Cunningham and the team?
Yes, Chair. Yeah. I mean, we've had a discussion about the champagne and prosecco. I won't go over that again, but certainly in the previous occasion that there was illicit alcohol, would Mr. Grant be willing to, if we were going to allow the license to continue with additional conditions, would he be willing to expand the suggested condition about using legitimate wholesalers for vapes to also include ensuring that all alcohol for sale is from legitimate wholesalers?
Yes, I would.
Thank you. That's the only question I have at this point. Oh, you're on mute, Chair.
Councillor Nagpal?
Yes, I have two questions, if I may, Chair.
Yeah.
So I'd like to ask Mrs. Cunningham, after what period is the average employee allowed to work independently? And specifically on this occasion, how did it transpire that a trainee was allowed to work independently? And I'll come on to my second question after Mrs. Cunningham's answered this, if that's okay, Chair.
Yeah, on that day with Kriti Devi, we have put one more staff. She is Sudarsini Sivaraja. She was working with us nearly 10 years now. She is not alone on that day.
There was quite a bit of echo feedback there. It was almost like you were too loud there.
Could you say that again?
repeat? Yeah.
Yeah, on that day, Kriti Devi not alone in the till. We put one more senior staff with her. She was in front of her doing something on the floor in front of her. Kriti not alone in the store the day.
Okay, so my question really is it normal for a trainee to be allowed to serve at the till independently and the senior member of staff be stacking shelves or what have you? Is that normal procedure? How long does it take for an individual, once they've been employed by you, to be allowed to work independently at the till?
Yeah, she was on the training, but when she was on the training, we have given all the information and basic, she had received the basic training and everything. That's why I believe so. She's okay to stand in the till with another experienced staff.
Can I also just for your reference that at the agenda papers, page 22, it's the statement of Ellis Donaldson, an officer, that the manager was present in the store, Surasini Sivarugan.
Yeah.
So the trainee wasn't there alone, but she was. What I was going to suggest, and it might be best I do it now, is an additional condition, because the license contains safeguarding conditions, but no actual conditions about training on age-related products. The additional condition I was going to propose is this, that all staff must be trained on age-related sales and the purchase and sale of tobacco, vape and alcohol products prior to being permitted to sell those products to members of the public. So shall I read that out again for your note? All staff. Sorry.
I mean, Mr. Grooms, I mean, it sounds like a very reasonable condition, but I just want to get a sense from Mrs. Cunningham how she's going to operate this business going forward. You know, great. It's not Fortnum and Mason. Okay, we're not. You know, I know the shop. I pass it. It's a large shop. It's how is she going to run it, with who, and what training they're going to have, or you know.
Well, the training has all been set up. It's Mr. Andrews' statement and indeed the.
Yeah, I know that's fine, but Mr. Simmons and yourself, sir, won't be on the Lady Margaret Road at 8:30 in the morning and 8:30 at night.
I'm going to do the training,
yeah,
sign all the checklists and everything.
No, after Andrews.
Yeah. Think
That-
what we're going to do now, Mr.
No,
Anderson.
all right, yeah.
just give it a moment. So just hold that thought, but I must allow Councillor Nagpal to ask her follow-up question. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you, Chair. So my second question is, Mrs. Cunningham, of course, you're well aware that there's a Greenford High School stone's throw from your shop, and that makes you more susceptible to be part of that 26% failure rate. Can you give us an idea of what percentage of your daily customers are young people, just so we can get an idea of the likelihood of this happening, you know, God forbid this happening again, just what percentage of your customers on a daily basis are young people? Thank you.
No, hopefully we don't get the young people customers. Normally, whoever buying the vape and alcohol, they are like adult. We don't see more young people to buy the alcohol and vape.
So my question is generally, because you sell lots of things in your store, per my understanding, and there is a school next door, so presumably you get a lot of visitors from that school. Can you give us an idea of what percentage of your daily customer is a young person?
Less than 1%, because the young people, they don't come.
Usually coming up.
Young people, she mentioned like under 18.
Yeah, but not which kids coming.
Oh, yeah. They don't buy the vape and everything. They buy.
Don't have a discussion. Can you address the councillors, please?
One moment, Chair. One moment.
Don't get that. Like, sorry, I don't get the question rightly because I thought
one moment. Let me see if I can repack Councillor Nagpal's very good question, and you can incorporate it into my general request as to how you're going to, who you're going to run the shop with, and who they are, and what sort of training. We understand there's churn. We understand people that may start employment next week might decide to leave the following week. But what's the strategy in terms of staffing? Given it is very close, it's very close to Greenford High School. Councillor Nagpal makes a very important point. You're a big shop, and if I remember rightly, you're the first shop as you come down the Lady Margaret Road, close to Greenford High School. So lots of people are exiting. Lots of people are exiting left, going down Lady Margaret Road, and yours is the first shop. But in a sense, you sort of said they don't come into my shop, which, well, I would suggest that you're missing out on a lot of business if they're not coming into your shop. So if you could just talk about what safeguards you're going to put in to uphold the licensing objectives on a practical level. We got the document here from Mr. Simmons, okay, and it's very useful, and we will refer to it. But I've heard about a till prompt at point of sale. I don't know what that is, and it'd be very useful to me and understanding your understanding of the license objectives, what that means. So what is a till prompt of point of sale?
Yeah, the till prompt, when we scan the alcohol and tobacco products from the till, it's popped up. If the customer over 18, we have to say yes or no. If we press no, we have to give the valid reason. They look younger, or they don't have any ID. They don't provide. Provide any ID. Yeah. So
if somebody walked up with a can of beer and they looked underage, you probably wouldn't scan it. You'd just say sorry, you don't look old enough, and then they would produce their ID. Would that be the way you would do it?
No, if we see the customer, they looks under 18, we straight away we refuse to sell the thing. Yeah.
Unless they
if they say, yeah, we will say like we can't serve you, sorry. Yeah. If they like.
Yeah. I mean, my wife has got friends in their 40s who are grandmothers who still don't get served alcohol because they look under 25. So but yeah, so I'm just saying, Mrs. Cunningham, these are the things I'd be very interested to hear about your shop moving forward. So I would just give Mr. Grant the opportunity. Anything you can share about what you're going to do and how you're going to do it would be very useful.
Training package.
Yeah.
That I've given.
Yeah.
You need to give that to every new employee to explain.
Yeah, we will, yeah.
You need to explain this to the council.
Oh, yeah.
So the training package.
You explain it to the council.
Yeah. Right, we had like proper training now. We have a proper training package, and if any like new employee come, then we will give the training to them. And also we got the audit check and everything, and we put the process like we are challenging now 25 challenge. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, as is my nature, we've gone off in tangents, so I'll try and get back on the straight line again. Chairing wise, Councillor Ball, Councillor Nagpal, is there anything you'd like to ask further? Thank you, John. Councillor Nagpal, go ahead.
Chair, I didn't really get an answer to my question as to the percentage of customers that are young people, and just on the back of that, really.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, 1 second. Yeah, sorry. I don't get your question when you asked me, because I thought how many percentage young people they are buying alcohol and cigarettes, you asking. No, I thought we got more than 10% young people, because we got the college and everything. Yeah, normally they come like 10% young people. They are buying like grocery things, chocolates, crepes and everything. They never ask the vape or alcohol, cigarettes, because they are straight away coming from the college and they will go back. Whenever they got the break time, they only coming and buying the things and they go back to the college.
Okay, I mean, I'm just wondering if it ever occurred to you that it's a possible risk, given so many young people would be coming to your shop, that you could end up selling to an underage individual, and why you hadn't put certain deterrents in beforehand, such as a POS prompt, to avoid that sort of situation happening, knowing that there is a school next door and you get lots of kids coming into your shop.
Yeah, we put like before 21 challenge. Now we like extension for 25 challenge.
I think we've explored that theme as far as we can at the moment. So I don't have anything at the moment. Sorry, Mr. Simmons, it may be in the document, but could you tell me who the training provider is, or who proposed training provider is? Mr. Simmons?
Yes, hello. So the actual training provider will be Phil Andrews, who has experience in delivering this type of training on site.
And that's a gentleman beside Mrs.
That gentleman who's sitting beside the licence holder.
Okay, Mr. Cunningham, Mr. Andrews then, just quickly, how do you provide your training, so to speak?
Basically, it's a case of we have a training document which is put together, which covers age-related products themselves. Age-related products, of course, are far more than vapes and just alcohol. I would say glue, things like that are also included, which are sold by convenience stores. So we do age-related training, then we do specific training on alcohol. We then moved on to, in this case, specific training on vapes and tobacco. Now, in addition to the specific training for staff, which all these things are for staff and also obviously for owners. In relation to that, we then moved on to specific training in relation to the purchase of vapes. In regard to how they are purchased, how they should be purchased, what you're looking for when you're purchasing a vape. Vapes for sale, of course. Tobacco itself is obviously self-evident, but of course you also include things like tobacco papers and things like that in the sale of tobacco. They are all included within the legislation, all of which are age-related products. So it's basically it's an extension of that. So we talked, and I talk face to face. I don't talk on screen or anything. I prefer to do my training face to face. I can then give examples of things like the citizen card, which is used as a form of identification, a specific form. And I also am asked a bit, I play a little bit because I produce forms of identification which you should not accept. So I mean, say it is a case of I try to be as thorough as possible when speaking face to face to people to remind them that if they are not sure, they ask. And on asking, they should be produced identification. I also then did an audit of the premises, but that's separate. But I'm saying in regard to the training, if the training is noted and the training papers are left with the store, they're there for looking at by Mr. Deere or somebody else when he goes there. They're all signed by the people on the day of the training, and they are left there for other people to read, like Mr. Cullingham's husband. He's there. There's a copy of that there for him to read and to look. And if the training is followed, then there should be no reason for a similar occurrence to occur.
That's very useful. So my follow-up question to Mrs. Cunningham, if we're minded to, how many people do you propose would undergo the training that Mr. Andrew has set up? And as it stands at the moment, who might they be?
Everyone had a training. My husband, after he read through and everything, then he signed it and he fully understand as well.
So your husband has done the training that Mr. Andrew has just talked about.
Yeah,
he's done it. Okay, and Mr. Andrews, when is that sort of topped up, or how long is it valid for? When if there's any refresher courses, when that might be?
Well, I mean, so obviously, Chair, that really depends on the client, but I would recommend sort of yearly training.
But I guess you would do, wouldn't you? Because you're in that business.
Yeah, Chair, I would say obviously, but I mean, say it is good for people to be refreshed. These things occasionally do slip, as you say, staff change.
And do you provide training for the suite of best foods operations in the country or regionally?
No, I don't, Chair. I'm purely an independent consultant, and I'm called in as and when I'm required.
Sure. Okay, all right.
Councillor,
well, you know what, Mr. Grant, it's very, very helpful to have a trainer here being able to talk about it. It's very unusual, and it's been very, very helpful. So I'm grateful. And thank you for indulging me. Yeah.
No, what I was going to suggest is this, that you can, of course, add a condition requiring refresher training annually, in addition to the overall condition that all staff must be trained before they start selling.
I'm also conscious that times are tough, and people have I don't want to put financial make things sort of financially onerous for people, but yeah, I just wanted to get a flavour and a sense of what's happening moving forward, and that's been very, very useful and very unusual to have the trainer with us. But thank you, Bob. I believe it's time for you to sum up, although Hattie has now got hand up. Hattie?
Chair, if I can just perhaps go back and ask Mr. Grant to finish stating the condition that he was suggesting in regards to his training, so we have a note of it.
Okay. Certainly. Shall I read that out?
Yes, please.
All staff must be trained in age-related sales and the purchase of tobacco, vape and alcohol products prior to being permitted to sell to these products to members of the customers, member of the public. And then, depending on the councillor's view, training shall be refreshed at least once a year, would be my suggestion for refresher training.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Grant.
One moment, please, everyone. Sorry, you wait for a delivery all week and they decide it's, midday that they come, but I caught everything there. But Keisha, did you get the wording of that, generally speaking?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Okay. So we'll take, thank you for that suggestion. Mr. Deere.
Chair, sorry, just before, could you indulge me with another question that arose out of the last set of questions?
Yeah, it'd be very good. Much better than me, so carry on.
So earlier in the hearing, I thought we heard that Mr. Connellingham wasn't present when the in-person training happened and had sort of, gone through the papers afterwards. But then just now, we seem to hear that he was one of the people who were trained in person. So could we have clarity on that, please?
No, he wasn't there when Mr. Andrews were there. The evidence was that the training pack that was left, that after Mr. Andrews left, then Mr. Connellingham then went through it all, read it all, and signed his understanding of it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thanks.
Mr. Dare.
Thank you, Chair. I'll be brief. Yes, this offence that triggered the review occurred in October, the end of October 2024, and it's been commented on that it took 4 months to get here. Well, that's because other reviews have stood in their place. Other test purchases have been reviewed, and unfortunately, we haven't got a cast of thousands to do paperwork for us. This premises has come to notice twice. It had its first and final warning in August 2020 when non-duty paid cigarettes and alcohol, non-duty paid alcohol, was found on the premises on display for sale, some of the vodka. We've heard that these were purchased from White Van Man, and that was a mistake. However, back given 5 years, and yes, I appreciate it's been 5 years, or 4 years, we hear that a test purchase is done there, a 15-and-a-half-year-old male who looks the age as well. We don't use 17-and-a-half-year-old people on this borough. We use very young people. These premises have, not this premise in particular, premises across the borough have been told there's information. The premises were brought in for an interview because it's a separate offence dealt with by trading standards. So I bought a review. This premises have had training. It appears there's only four employees for a shop that opens at 8 o'clock in the morning, 7 days a week, and then goes right through to the weekend at 1 or 2 o'clock at the weekends. It's on a busy stretch of road. It has been mentioned by Councillor Nagpal that there is a school next door, and in 2021 this premises was invited to take part in some training which resulted in those conditions added on a minor variation. The reason this premises was selected, and 1 or 2 further down the road and across the borough, was because, not of gossip, but of solid intel from that school. I won't go into that solid intel, but that shop is, I've been there 3 times. There are school children coming there, and I tend, hopefully, I don't like going in there with school children there because there is a big influx, and I take pity on shopkeepers, because when 15, 20 people try and get in that shop, it's not a very good, nice atmosphere. But the training, I say there's only 4 people. I don't think there's only 4 people working that shop. Otherwise, how would the 3 people or 2 people, as Mr. Andrews very kindly pointed out, there's 2 different conditions that will have to be looked at, I think. One says 2 people after 7 and one says 3 after 7. But I stick by my decision, sir, to go for verification, because, you know, we could come back in 5 years' time. Is that when we have to wait and to review them again? The premises have been, yes, only reviewed once in 15 years. It's because no reviews were done, but previous 2017 on this borough. But that's my summing up, sir. Thank you.
Councillor, you're on mute.
Thank you. If you'd like to sum up, Mr. Grant, and respond to any points, as I'm sure you will. Thank you.
Councillor, I will also be brief. This premises has come to the attention of authorities on 2 occasions in 15 years. The first was in August 2020, when non-duty cigarettes and some Polish vodka was found. You've heard where that came from, the white van man. There is no evidence in this agenda pack, as Mr. Deere, I'm afraid, gilds the lily by saying that was their final warning. No, that's not what Mr. Deere's own evidence suggests. All it suggests is at page 18 of the agenda papers that those items, the cigarettes and the vodka, were seized and a receipt for the property was issued. That's it. So somehow gearing that up to being a full and final warning simply isn't based on Mr. Deere's own evidence in the pack. So I would ask you to ignore that comment. The second time it came to their attention was the October visit. We've explained what happened. We've explained that the due diligence was not carried out on the wholesaler at Charles House, where they bought it from, and they have learned their lesson. It's been a costly lesson, but they have taken every step you would expect a responsible supermarket owner to take in this case. They have got experts in to assist them with their training in the form of Mr. Andrews. They've trained up all their staff. They have till prompts. The training will be an ongoing thing, not a one-off for the purposes of today, and you can condition that. If you need to slap them particularly hard for this incident, there is the option of a suspension in this case, if you think it's necessary. But you may think that this process in itself, which has been frankly terrifying for my client, because it's her livelihood on the brink today, and she knows it, that this process itself may have achieved all the deterrent effect that's necessary. And with the additional conditions, do they work? Well, we know from Thursday's visit from Serve Legal, yes, they do. And that's the best evidence you've got and the predictor of the future. Of course, if everything I say turns out to be wrong, if there are future failures, then Miss Cunningham will not be in a position to come here and beg for your mercy again. This is their first review. They ask for a chance to continue to prove themselves as a useful service to the community as a convenience store without operating non-compliantly or selling to underage people again. So that, we say, conditions with the possibility of a suspension if you think it's necessary. That's the appropriate and proportionate outcome of today's hearing.
Okay, just one more question. The training here has been the discussion of training here for me has been quite useful. And I'm not going to ask for a condition. I'm just obviously here, it's on public record on YouTube. How long would it take, do you believe, to have all your staff trained to the standard Mr. Andrews has set out? So today is it's going to be the 1st of May in a couple of weeks, in a few days' time. When could you be confident that everyone would be trained?
Have been trained, haven't
Yeah.
they? The answer, as of today, all the staff who are customer facing have been trained.
So how many staff is that in total? There we are.
4.
4.
Oh, yeah.
So you've got 4 trained staff.
Yeah.
Now, and that includes you.
Yeah, including me. Yeah.
You're one of 4.
Yeah.
And your husband, Mr. Cunningham, is 2.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's 2 more members of staff that are
Yes,
trained up.
2 more
Yeah.
members.
And how many other members of staff would you be seeking to train up?
So we got only 4 staff in the shop. We all 4 had the training.
Yeah. So I'm a bit slightly confused. So it's 4 members of staff, as Mr. Deere says, 7 days a week from 8 o'clock till 2 o'clock in the morning. Well, at the weekends, I believe.
They don't
Is
all
that
work at
correct?
the same time.
No, they don't work.
No, they don't
No,
all
we
work,
work at the same time.
not
But
all at the same time.
you've got 4. You know, we've got 70 councillors. We've got so many members of the licensing committee. We're talking about 4 members of staff here in total. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And there is no other, and anybody who would join the team would be trained before they hit the till, so to speak.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Hattie, I believe we've covered everything, but I always like to go to you before we retire.
Nothing from me, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Grant, Mr. Cunningham, and the other gentleman. We will retire now to consider deliberate, and it's 12:30 here. I would anticipate that we will be back at 1:15. So if you just exit the room, and you'll be allowed back in at 10 past. Obviously, we reserve the right to take longer, but I don't believe it will take longer. So we'll see you at 10 past 12 for a prompt start at 10 past 1 for a prompt start at 1:15.